Judas Priest cross sign is possibly one of the most recognizable symbols in heavy metal. And just like many other heavy metal bands, because of it, Judas Priest of course were accused of almost all mortal sins.
What?
And so what we can do is take a look at the real origins of the Judas Priest cross, talk a little bit about the controversies around it, and hopefully answer the question of what is the true meaning of the Judas Priest sign. Here you go. Please do not hesitate to comment on anything you hear or see in this video, and especially if you disagree with me, because the whole point of the Defenders of the Faith series is of course to start a conversation. But alright, let's do it. The very first appearance of the Judas Priest cross was of course on the band's second studio album, Sad Wings of Destiny, released in 1976. Artist Patrick Woodruff, who was commissioned by Gull Records to work on the painting, painted the Judas Priest cross around the fallen angel's neck. By the way, I believe we spoke quite extensively about the Sad Wings of Destiny album artwork on the corresponding episode on the Defenders of the Faith series, as well as of course about how this fallen angel will later on reappear on Painkiller, Angel of Retribution, and a bunch of other albums, and thus I'm not going to go into the details of that album artwork in this particular episode. But the most important thing about it is that that little sign has immediately caught attention of all Judas Priest fans and almost right away became an unofficial symbol of the band. And yet, while the band and the management of course seized the opportunity and used this very recognizable sign on multiple merchandise items, the cross did not actually appear on any official Judas Priest release up until 1984 and the release of Defenders of the Faith, which I believe everyone knows by now is my personal favorite Judas Priest album. And yet, even there, the cross didn't really make it on the front of the cover, but all the way on the back, replacing one of the T's in the medallion. Band then forgot about the cross once again, only before it reappeared on Painkiller, Metalworks, and in a very weird form on Juggulator. Yet after the band's reunion with Rob Halford, it looks like the guys finally realized the importance of that symbol for the fans, and so Judas Priest managed to not only include it on every Judas Priest album released afterwards, but even more than that, decided to incorporate it into a logo designed by Roslav Zaibo for Stained Class. By the way, speaking about the Judas Priest logos, there is actually much more to talk about there than it may seem at first, including of course some of the very rare and early incarnations of a Judas Priest logo most of the band's fans never seen before. So if you think that a special episode on the Judas Priest logo evolution would be of interest for you, please let us know in the comments.
Write that down, write that down!
But anyways, while the cross did not actually make it to any of the original releases before the split, except for the 3 we discussed before, years later the famous sign still found its way to appear in those, since the band simply decided to include it on the back of all of their mastered editions.
Life, finds a way.
And thus bringing justice to the world of heavy metal. While the history and the evolution of the Judas Priest cross is pretty straightforward and can be easily traced, its meaning has been the source of controversy for both the fans and the media for years.
Yes, it's true.
The latter, of course, did not miss an opportunity to accuse Judas Priest of all mortal sins, developing pretty serious conspiracy theories about that sign. But well, again, I mean, they do that about pretty much anything now.
Shame!
Today, if you simply Google the meaning of the Judas Priest cross, the search engine will tell you that it most likely symbolizes the triumvirate of 2 guitars and the vocalist's voice. So basically, in a nutshell, it symbolizes K.K. Downing, Glenn Tipton, and Rob Halford. That theory, according to Metal God himself, is nothing more than a load of crap. And while of course there are a gazillion of other theories which I actually don't intend to go through in this episode, the most popular of them is of course that it is a devil's pitchfork because of its resemblance to the one, and I guess the fact that Rob Halford and Glenn Tipton actually quoted that in several interviews in the 1980s.
Well, yeah, I guess a lot of it something to do with that.
Yet, by the way, the only name which Judas Priest management and official merchandise sellers ever used was actually Judas Priest Cross. And while the guys could have actually used that term to, spice up things and stir up more controversy about the band, I actually don't think that they themselves believed in it. You see, on the original painting of the Sad Wings of Destiny album artwork, Patrick Woodruff actually had nothing around the angel's neck. Rob Halford then thought that the artwork was kind of empty in that area, so he approached John Pasche, who designed the Rock'n'Rolla artwork and was in charge of this one as well, and simply asked him to add something over there, with his request going something like that. Can we stick something around his neck? Something like a crucifix, but not really a crucifix. And that's how it came to be. Unfortunately, Patrick Woodruff, who drew the sign over, said in 2004 that he does not remember where exactly he got that sign from. Yet one thing that he remembered is that it had some ancient Egyptian origin and thus had nothing to do with Christianity. And therefore, in my personal opinion, the only meaning for the Judas Priest cross is that it symbolizes Judas Priest. Their music, their passion on stage, heavy metal itself, and that it has absolutely zero subliminal messages. But the coolest thing, I of course spent hours staring at, random Egyptian hieroglyphs I was able to find online, and unfortunately found nothing that looked like a Judas Priest cross. Yet, while preparing for Iron Maiden's Power Slave artwork episode, and staring for hours at the hieroglyphs depicted here, I actually found that one of the hieroglyphs above the entrance to the pyramid has very striking resemblance to that of a Judas Priest cross. And maybe, just maybe, Derek Riggs, who, as we know, was redrawing the hieroglyphs from a random book he could get, accidentally redrew the same sign which Patrick Woodruff came across around 45 years ago. But anyways, what do you guys personally think the Judas Priest cross symbolizes for you? And which is your personal favorite appearance of this sign? Please let us know in the comments, I'm very curious to find out. As always, thank you so much for watching this short video, guys, and keep rocking.